chilling in the bees, just like Justin Bieber. Cause I got the money, I don't care.
This is literally all the song you need to put your life back on track. You can call this rebranding or whatever works for you, but I like to look at it from a different angle. Self discovery is all part of the self discovery process. Rebranding, finding yourself, finding a different niche, and figuring out what you want to do with your life. It's a continuous process, it never ends. I'm 27, by the way, and if you've lived as long as I've lived, or if you've even lived longer, you would agree with me that there comes a time in your life where it literally feels like things don't really make sense. A lot of things don't make sense to you. It looks like you're in a fix. You just feel stuck, and it almost feels like you're moving in circles. You've had your own fair share of failed friendships, failed business ideas, failed social media accounts for content creators, I mean, like failed relationships, right? Trust me, I feel like this is all just a reminder that we are human at the end of the day and we're not infallible, and anything can happen to anyone, and you can have the brightest ideas, or you could literally feel like you're giving your all, you're doing the most, and it still does not yield the results. What do we do in situations like this? Most times we just tend to, you know what, I'm just done with all of this. I'm literally tired. I don't want to be bothered about all of this anymore. This is the hard truth. Life is a journey. And sometimes you arrive quickly, sometimes you don't even arrive at all. Some people don't even make it to the end of this journey called life. You know what, for some people it takes longer, for some people it just happens like it's an overnight success. Even though I'm a strong believer of the saying that there's no overnight success, I feel like everybody has gotten their own fair share of this process and drawbacks. So we have bad days, right? And my friend will say every day cannot be a great day. You had days literally when things don't work out as planned. Now you have two options. You could go on making excuses, whining about how your day did not go as planned, or you could find ways to make it better off, right? These bad days will probably almost happen. You cannot be completely dodged. So what you make of it ultimately depends on you. If you decide to cry about it, you might find that the cycle continues and it's unending. Now imagine not showing up to work one day just because you're having a bad day, and you're not just having it, like, I'm having a bad day so I decide to stay home. Trust me, if you're working in 9 to 5, you know that that is not even realistic. Nobody actually does that. You have to show up regardless of how you feel. Now imagine when this happens, things that should matter more to your destiny and becoming whatever it is you want to become, we tend to overlook a lot of things simply because we lack self-integrity, and that's just the truth. And because these things are not tied to immediate gratifications. You want to go into content creation, for instance, or you want to start a business, or you just decide that no, today is not a good day. I'm not feeling too well. I'm not feeling a certain type of way. I'm not in my best frame of mind. So I'll leave it till tomorrow. Tomorrow leads to next, and tomorrow leads to next, and the cycle just continues because nobody's asking you questions. Nobody's going to ask you, why didn't you wake up and create content? Why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you do that? It's not a job that anybody's paying you for. If you're looking for excuses, you're going to keep finding excuses. You're going to keep finding 1,001 excuses why you should not be doing what you should be doing. But if you also are looking for solutions to your problems, you would find solutions. You'll find people who would offer solutions. You'll find a way to go about it. And that's just the way life works. I've had my own fair share of long breaks and setbacks, but here's what I've decided to do. Because, again, you can keep making excuses or try finding a solution. I've decided to focus on the 5 key areas of my life, or at least 4, or even 3. If one doesn't work, the other should work, right? I should find a way around things instead of making excuses. 5 key areas of our life, by the way, would be the finance, the spiritual, the mental, the relationship, and the physical. Now, everything cannot be suffering at the same time. And oftentimes, it starts from the mental. When you're having a problem with the mental state, it tends to affect every other thing. But if you look at it from a different perspective, right? If my mental is feeling the type of way, I run to God. Like, let me focus on the spiritual right now and see what comes out of it. Even though it kind of like affects every other thing, the cycle is almost dependent on each other in some sort of way. If relationship isn't working, like, why not try finance? But more importantly, why can't I simultaneously work on them at the same time, so that you're not idling around thinking about things that shouldn't keep you up at night, or basically focusing your energy on things that are not productive. What I have decided to do is to let go of the external factors that are not within my power, that are not necessarily within my control, and focus on the atomic habits that I can work on by myself. And what do I mean by this? What time do I wake up in the morning? How productive am I with my work? How many contents do I put out in a week or in a day? How many times do I say my prayer in a day? What is my relationship like with the people around me? Not necessarily like a romantic relationship, but how do I perceive the people around me? How do I react to the things they do or the things that they say? How do I lay in my bed in the morning when I wake up? Do I just leave my room scattered? Do I care about myself enough to care about the things that I eat? When you focus your energy on these small things and start paying attention to them, you find out that in the long run, they just sum up to a whole lot of things you never would have imagined. Little drops, 1% every day, and before you realize it, you're doing wonders. Now that we're already into the business of the day, forgive my manners, welcome to my channel. I am Omar. I am very passionate about women, about personal branding, and about personal development. I've decided to take up the responsibility of building women into the most possible best version of themselves, financially, health wise, physically, spiritually, and every area that pertains to their life. And not just women, men as well, but I'm saying women because that is my focal point. I'm building a community of women who have mastered their emotion and their reaction to things that happen around them and make the most of their time just to be sure that they stay productive and consistent in whatever they do, be it content creation, be it your business, personal branding, and all of that. For the next 20 weeks, we are going to be focusing on different aspects of our lives. Like I have stated already, we're going to be focusing on discussions around business, starting up a business, building your personal brand, starting a content creation, creating that content for your business, your finance, budgeting, your health, and basically everything that makes you who you are and everything that makes you whole. So, what I've decided to do is to do a 20 weeks challenge. I'm sure you're thinking in your head, 20 weeks, the audacity, watch me. In fact, subscribe if you haven't subscribed now and watch me do it. You can decide to join me or just sit back and watch. But the point is, we are going to be undergoing a 20 weeks challenge where we're trying to touch these different aspects of our lives through discussions, through live coaching sessions, or even through lifestyle vlogs, living out what you speak and not just sitting down there and talking about it, but actually also living it out so that you guys can see that it is possible and it can be done. So I'm tagging this challenge becoming that girl. So when you start seeing BTG on my screen moving forward or the hashtags or whatever, just know that that is what I'm talking about, becoming that girl. Now, apart from posting on here, for the period of that 20 weeks, my friends and I are going to be creating like a WhatsApp community where you can join in and join us on this challenge. You already know what we'll be talking about. So if you're interested in getting the links to this WhatsApp group, you can just comment link on the comment section, right? And the goal is that at the end of this challenge, you've become your most productive self, most consistent self in whatever it is you're doing when it pertains to your finances, your mental health, your physical appearance, your growth in business, your finance, budgeting, making good investment decisions. We're going to be covering all of that and making sure that you get your time's worth. It's also cut across working on your communication and public speaking skills, everything basically that has to do with you as a brand, as a person, as a business, as a woman. Becoming that girl is certainly where you should be. It's what you should be watching right now every day for the next 20 weeks. Stay connected to this channel because this is already day one. If you don't know that now, and I hope that you're motivated and you want to go through this journey with me. We're not about to start the year 2025 giving excuses again, because trust me, there will always be excuses, there will always be things to hold you back. So yeah, let's do this together.